Welkom terug. Die prestasie-afrigter Duncan Woods kuier vanoggend by ons en ons gesels oor die Indringer-sindroom. Gaan interessant wees. Good morning, Duncan.
Good morning, Jennifer. How are you?
Good in yourself. Duncan, it's so wonderful to have you here this morning and to chat. And let's start with, you are a performance coach. What does that mean?
So in the name, I guess, helping people to perform, whether you're an elite athlete or whether you're in the business world or in arts and culture, it's just helping people identify their best, locate their best, and then have practical steps to help them keep their best and keep improving.
So this morning, we're specifically speaking about imposter syndrome. So maybe explain to us, what does that exactly mean?
So imposter syndrome is this weird thing that happens to humans where we feel like we're not good enough. It's this normal process that happens to everyone, which I've seen with many high-performing people. It happens with everyone. And it's just that it's a confidence issue where people just get these doubts whether they can actually do what they're being asked to do.
It boils down to confidence, but how does it manifest, this syndrome?
So it manifests in people start questioning themselves. So it's really a normal phenomenon, and how we equip people to deal with it is just to ask them to step back from their thoughts and to observe their thoughts, and then give them practical steps that they can navigate their way through it and locate their confidence and get back to their ability, which they've already established themselves.
Who's most likely to suffer from this? Is it really anyone? Is it people that start new jobs? Is it people in high-performing jobs? Who's more likely to suffer from this?
A great question. So it happens across the board. I've been in a hugely impressive seminar, and all the panelists put up their hands and said they've experienced this. So it's not reserved for a few. You're right. Starting something new is a classic place where this shows up, where you start to doubt whether you can actually do this new thing that you're being asked to do. So it happens across the board. So everyone should be aware of it and hopefully be equipped for it as well.
It sounds like self-knowledge is key here. You need to be aware of the fact that when you're in the moment of self-doubt and when your confidence is low, you still need to have the wherewithal to know that I can adjust this. I can adjust my reaction. I can adjust the way I react to the situation. Are there some steps that I can take? Are there some certain tips you'll give me if I'm in the situation where I can think, all right, I need to build up my confidence now. I need to be more assertive. What steps do you suggest?
Yeah, great question, Pierre. So confidence itself is something we need to build. We need to maintain. And I think this is where people fall into the trap. They feel like I was born with confidence or I wasn't born with confidence. Now, confidence is like any muscle. If you're going to be working a muscle, it's going to get stronger. So my first piece of advice would be make sure that we have daily kind of confidence or weekly confidence check-ins with oneself. Look to the evidence. Look at your track record. Look what you've already achieved in your career, your aspirations, and make it an evidence-based almost discussion with yourself, rather than well, let me just see how I feel on the day, because that could go either way.
Does external or internal factors affect this more? Because I'm assuming both will play a role, what people would say about you and what you think about yourself, because all of that affects your confidence ultimately. So is it a combination of external and internal factors?
So I'd definitely say this is a problem we need to own ourselves. So your internal narrative, how you work on your confidence, and we've got a great series which you're just launching about daily confidence reminders, which helps you address the internal battle that we speak of. Externally, certainly, how people make you feel, how welcome you feel in your workspace, in your group, that's definitely going to have an influence. But I definitely would encourage, let's deal with the problem ourselves. Let's empower ourselves. Let's be the main person in our rescue.
So am I right in saying imposter syndrome is the feeling that someone is not good enough? You're not good enough. You're not achieving enough, and you're an imposter in the position you're in. Be that in a professional scenario or a sports scenario or even a social scenario, you feel like an imposter because you don't feel good enough.
Exactly. So it's I don't feel like I belong here.
Okay.
And normally when you start working with someone and you start asking them, how did you get here? They didn't pull you off the street. You've earned your place here. Tell me about your preparation. Tell me about your training. Tell me about your experience. Tell me about your qualifications. And very quickly they start to engage with you, and you can almost see in front of you the confidence starts coming back.
It's amazing you sometimes forget what we've achieved, whether that's professional or in a sport. You sometimes forget your achievements. And you're right, just looking back at what you have achieved puts you back into that state of mind of, this is my track record. Of course I'm good enough. I think we all need to realize that every now and then. But now, the opposite of imposter syndrome, is that just basic arrogance?
Yeah, Pierre, great question. So the opposite of it is I guess, arrogance or bravado is the real danger zone for me, because I've always hated the fake it till you make it saying, because it feels like you're potentially making yourself vulnerable because you're pretending that you're something, or you're pretending that you're feeling something that you're not. So if you're someone who's born with natural confidence, that's a really good head start, and embrace that. But my counsel would be, make sure that you are always topping up your daily and weekly evidence base behind why I feel confident and why I deserve to feel confident.
Do you think, so many people and many cultures, they rely on humility, being humble, staying humble. And do you think that humility sometimes spills over into that imposter syndrome, because we try so hard to be humble that it's almost countereffective?
Certainly, in many cultures we are taught, you must be humble, you must know your place, etc. So I think what I try and recommend is a broad base of confidence. So really not shouting your name from the rooftops, rather building a broad base of confidence, really focusing internally on all that evidence that you built up, all that track record. Let's build a broad base. We don't have to be shouting to others about it, but internally we certainly need to be working on this muscle if we want to be able to step into really, ambitious spaces, challenging spaces. We want everyone to really be ambitious in this. And we find it's better if you've built that broad base of confidence based on a daily practice.
Duncan, some basic tips for our viewers, because sometimes you find yourself sitting in your car before a meeting, or taking the kids to school and panicking about the rest of the day coming up. Some little basic hints and tips that we can just apply, just to build that confidence, just to reassert that boost of confidence that we need.
Great. So there's two tips, actually, two little cheats, I guess, from your body. So your breathing. It has been proven that your breathing is a way that you can actively almost override your physiology. So obviously there's a huge amount of stuff out there on the internet about breathing, how breathing can bring you into a space where you can really feel calm and get back to your own resourceful. The second one, even the smile reflex. So just the act of smiling, your body starts to respond to that reflex. So you can just kind of do some breathing, get yourself into a space, look yourself in the mirror, just start getting your body on board. And then the two key pieces would be, in terms of almost a practical tip, would be look at your evidence base. Have a little note on your phone saying, I'm prepared for this meeting because, or I've built up enough track record of success in this area that I can certainly do this. And then the final one is really a belief piece. It's around the choice. Make the choice. And I always say to people, tell me what's going to happen if you don't back yourself in this scenario. And that never has a good answer. So making the choice to say, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to give it my best. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm just know that I'm going to choose to step into that room and be my best is a choice that we can make. And that certainly helps a lot. It kind of gets you on the front foot.
Interesting. Duncan, thank you very much for your time this morning and just helping us find that balance between humility and arrogance and looking at our track record, of course. So thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Dit is natuurlijk Duncan Woods se prestasie-afrigter en daar het jy dit. Jy hoef nie te voel asof jy 'n imposter is nie. Jy kan dit doen.